Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast with Ani and Brian. Join us as we explore the art and science of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools to strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional. Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you'll understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence. If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hi, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. Hi there, Brian.
Hey, Ani, how are you?
I'm really good. I was going to make a joke about how I was having trouble deciding what we should do for the podcast today, but I decided not to make that joke because you actually decide what we're going to talk about, and I just get to show up and be brilliant. So welcome to episode 24.
So I could say I was having trouble deciding what to talk about.
You could make that joke, but rather let me say, hey, Brian, what have you decided that we're going to talk about today?
Well, actually, Ani, this is part one of a 4-part series that we're going to have on how to make pivotal life decisions. This is part one. And so part one, the kind of the sub caption for this part, for this podcast episode, is why people play small or not at all.
Ooh, good title. That's really good. I like that. I'm so glad we're talking about this because, hey, who said that the quality of the decisions that you make? No, I'm thinking of a different quote. Anyway, it's true though. We make so many decisions every single day of our lives. And like so many things that we talk about at the Somatic Coaching Academy, decisions are something I don't think we ever had a class in, like how to make aligned decisions. Like this, one of these things that after an episode like this, we're going to get emails from the community saying things like, why don't they teach this stuff in school? I wish I had known this all of my life. And it's the kind of things that our students say, has really changed their lives to be able to make powerful, aligned decisions.
Yeah, it's so true, Ani. We weren't taught this. We weren't taught a way to make decisions clearly to enhance our own lives, usually an earlier part in our life. And I think this is evidenced by, I did a quick Google search on, I just popped in there, how to make decisions. And in 0.35 seconds, Google came back with 5 billion results. So it tells me that a lot of people are looking for advice on how do I make a decision. So it's a huge thing that obviously no one was taught how to do, and everyone's trying to figure out how to do now.
Right.
I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. So let's talk about, part one of our 4-part series. So let's just talk about what is a decision.
That would be fantastic because I see this getting confused all the time. out and about. People say that they're going to make a decision and then they just think about stuff and they don't actually do things or whatever. And, I could talk to people months later and say, I haven't made a decision or whatever. Like, I think it's very confused what making a decision actually looks like.
Yeah. So if we take it to like a small thing for a second, maybe to kind of clarify decision. So if someone's standing in front of their closet and they're looking at their clothes in their closet and they're trying to decide what to wear in their closet. Which blue shirt should I wear today? I have a lot of blue shirts. Right. So
you do.
So which blue shirt should I wear today? I haven't made a decision until I'm wearing the blue shirt.
So to contrast this with, I'm looking in my closet at all the blue shirts and I could say to myself, I've made a decision to wear that one. What you're saying is the decision has not been made until it is on your body.
Until it's on my body.
Think about that for a second. Think about that distinction, because I love that you brought this to such a practical, everyday kind of thing, because so often we say, I've made a decision, and you're not wearing the shirt.
Not wearing a shirt. Yeah, we say the decision to pacify ourselves or to feed our ego or to help ourselves feel safe or
yeah,
whatever.
so
I
we
mean, yeah,
feel
all
better,
those
right?
things, right? Because
Absolutely.
it pacifies some type of tension or anxiety. I've made the decision I'm going to do this. And then we don't follow through on it. We've pacified, but then we don't follow through. We didn't really make the decision.
I want to back up to something you just said. I think it's so important because when we talk about making ourselves feel better, or pacifying, like there can be a lot of shame or guilt around the
Yeah.
fact that we do that. But let's just back up the train and highlight with a big old highlighter something that you said, that it helps us to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
It helps us to feel safe because feeling agitated, feeling ashamed, feeling guilty, feeling all these things very often does not feel safe. So it's not just that I don't feel good and I'm going to do this thing so that I can feel better. It's we're trying to help our nervous systems feel safe
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
And that's our subconscious default state.
Yeah.
If you're asking your subconscious to choose between certainty and uncertainty, it's going to choose certainty every time, even if the certainty will lead to death, a slow death, not a fast death, but a slow death. Let's think about smoking as. So every time someone makes a decision to light up a cigarette, there's plenty of evidence to show that for the vast majority of people, not 100% of the people, for the vast majority of people, that if you're smoking regularly, it's going to decrease your lifespan and your health quality. So that's like, everybody knows that. And yet people still are smoking. So why is that? Because their subconscious is making the decision to light up the cigarette to pacify something else that's going on. And that feels certain. Like being pacified feels certain.
And
It's
known
sort of
is
thing.
safe.
And so making a decision that creates uncertainty takes more energy, actually. And the subconscious doesn't like to expend that energy to do that. So it's almost like if I'm standing in front of my closet and I have to go to a meeting, maybe I don't know the people in the meeting, and I'm looking at a blue shirt that I've worn to a whole bunch of meetings, and I have a brand new blue shirt that's maybe a little edgy. I'm gonna be like, ooh, I'm gonna wear the. If I was letting my subconscious choose, it would choose the old standby blue shirt.
Yeah.
Every single time, not the edgy blue shirt.
Right.
Sort of thing. It takes more energy to make that decision. That's a new decision that's associated with uncertainty.
Have you been in a store recently where they sell cigarettes and the amount of signage they have about how it can kill you?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I was in a gas station getting a milkshake with our son Oliver the other day, and I was looking over by the cigarettes, and there's like neon signs with the biggest letters I've ever seen saying, this is going to kill you. Beware. And it was just, that's what's happening with the subconscious that is still choosing the known.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just take a second and talk about conscious versus subconscious decision
here
for just a second? Because we all think that we're so conscious and we make conscious decisions. Mm-hmm. But the conscious mind is approximately 5% of our mind power. And the subconscious mind, which is our body and all of our physiological processes, it's like a lot. It's 95% mm-hmm. of our total mind power. So if we think that we're making decisions with the 5%, we've really got to be kidding ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're really making decisions with our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is telling us how to think about things. It's telling us how to feel about things. And until we expertly know how to navigate the land of the subconscious mind and how it functions and what it's telling us and all of that stuff, we can't really truly know that we're in alignment and making powerful decisions.
Yeah, and this is also what you're saying, Ani, is also tied in with our physiology and our metabolism. Our body and our brain are also designed to conserve energy, to conserve metabolic expenditure. And every decision, especially if it's a new decision, requires a metabolic expenditure.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite stories about this was, Steve Jobs of Apple, created the iPod and the iPhone, all these things, he wore a black turtleneck every day because he knew that even the micro energy he would spend to try to just stand in front of his closet and decide what shirt to wear would take energy away from him making an even more important decision later on in the day.
Absolutely.
And so as the day goes on, if we expend energy with decision making early in the day, it makes it harder at the end of the day. I mean, for any of us with kids, right? Anybody with kids,
a million
the
decisions.
kids
a
are
day.
like, they wear you down
right?
to the point where you're like, fine, ice cream right before dinner is just fine.
Go ahead.
Kind of thing. Because we're just worn down energetically by it.
I cannot make another decision.
I cannot make another decision. So decision fatigue is a real thing too.
It's real. Yeah.
So all those things add up to little decisions, to big decisions, but we're here talking about pivotal decisions.
Yeah.
So, and I think you can roadmap pivotal decisions by understanding the smaller decisions, like what we're talking about in terms of the subconscious is going to choose the safety, our body is going to metabolically preserve energy, making a different new choice expends more energy. So that's where the conscious mind actually comes into play. We have to consciously decide to expend that energy.
Yes.
And move the subconscious metabolism in a new direction. So that's where the conscious mind comes into play. But if we're not consciously thinking about that, we'll always default back to the easier, more known choice because it saves energy.
And man, in the world we're living in today, it's busy.
Yep.
One of our kids was saying something about how we were joking when we were kids. We had to go to the library and look things up in the encyclopedia because there wasn't Google. And they were like, how did you have time? And I said, I think I felt like I had so much more time. And I don't just think that that's because I'm older and I was a child. I was actually talking to my dad about this. And he was like, no, it actually felt like there was more time. I was commenting about how when I was a kid, he had to drive me around all over the place. And now I'm a parent and I'm driving my kids all over the place. And I always feel like there's just not enough time. And I said to him, how did you have enough time to do that? And he said, I went to work. I opened my computer. I did my thing. I closed my computer and I went home.
Didn't take my computer home with me. I didn't have my computer in my pocket.
And he's like, I didn't have much else to do. I drove you around after I was done with work and it was nice. And then he was like in this like thing about how nice it was to drive me around and we saw things and we did things. And I'm thinking that is not the life I'm living because of technology. So it feels like life is so compressed. We're all very busy. And so I think we can all understand that our subconscious mind is just going, hey, can we just make it easy here? But it is a conscious decision to expend some extra energy so that you can make a powerful decision and change your life forever. But it is going to take some energy initially. So what happens sometimes is we're like, oh my God, it's so hard, but it's going to take some energy initially. And then we get a new change. Hey, Brian, pivotal. So when you're talking about pivotal decisions, like what do you mean pivotal?
I'm talking about a decision that changes the trajectory of your life.
So you're not talking about which blue shirt.
I'm not talking which blue shirt. I'm just trying to frame the blue shirt as a foundational understanding of making a pivotal decision.
And I think this is really important because life always works in paradox. And so even though we're using this example of the blue shirt, looking at the example of the blue shirt actually helps us to understand how we make pivotal decisions even better. But the pivotal decision isn't the blue shirt. That's like working within the paradox here.
Yeah, certainly. So far where we are in the conversation here, when we're talking about why people play small or not at all, so far what we're saying is if someone doesn't have enough energy to make a pivotal decision, they're always going to make the smaller decision.
Absolutely.
And I think your point is, to your point, Ani, nowadays, there's so many things that suck our energy away. It gives us less energy to be able to make more pivotal decisions in their lives.
Yeah. Like imagine if you could make a decision to learn and live your purpose. I can't imagine what it's like, to be perfectly honest with you, not knowing what my purpose is nowadays. We've been working with a purpose finding tool that we use, Find Your Soul's Agenda, for about 10 years. I can't imagine not knowing my purpose and not knowing how to make decisions in alignment with that. That's a pivotal decision. I'm going to learn my purpose and live my purpose.
And initially that's going to take energy.
Initially it's going to take energy.
But just initially. And on the other end of that, I think we both can agree that decisions actually get a lot easier when you have a compass to help you make the decision. Then there's less waffling about the decision.
Every day.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes, because that even takes more energy.
Yeah.
Like the not deciding, the waffling, the back and forth, the deciding, and then eventually we say, oh, I'll just wait to do it.
Yeah.
I'll wait to do it later on. We're going to talk about healthy and unhealthy waiting in a next upcoming podcast. Not going to happen today.
Okay.
But it's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
Well, can I share an example of some pivotal decisions in my life?
Yeah.
As a framework here?
Sure.
Okay.
I was one of them, I'm sure.
Yes, you were.
Am I on the list?
But you're like a lot later. I'm going back earlier.
Okay.
I'm going way back earlier
We'll talk
in time.
about that in like 2 episodes from now.
Way from now.
Okay.
So when I was when I graduated from college as a physical therapist, I was 22 years old, and it was at the time where like PTs were the market was open. I mean, there was like so many openings for PTs, lots of jobs, lots of job opportunities. It could go anywhere. And so I was graduated in Buffalo, New York. Yeah. And it's like, who stays in Buffalo? You know, it's like Buffalo gets a bad rap. It's a cool place, but I was ready to go. It just it
wasn't your
I
place.
needed mountains, and it's kind of flat there.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. I needed like more outdoor activities and steep things to climb and that kind of stuff. So I got an invitation. Actually, I was recruited by a hospital down in North Carolina. And they flew me down there and put me up in a nice hotel and gave me breakfast and like, walked me through. I was able to shadow some people. It was a teaching hospital in North Carolina, right in the mountains in North Carolina, in the Smokies. And it's just amazing. Teaching hospital. I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Yeah. I was like, this is like the chance of a lifetime. I'm in the mountains. I'm in a teaching hospital. There's lots of amazing things going on down here. Yeah. There's research happening at this place. It was really, really exciting. I went back home and I decided to stay in Buffalo.
What?
Well, so you're like, why did you do that?
Why did you do that?
All this thing. Because here's the thing. I was dating a girl in Buffalo at the time.
Snap.
Okay. And so I was dating
literally
a girl.
have like the same story.
So I stayed in Buffalo because of this relationship, and I ended up working at Buffalo General Hospital, which was a nice place to work, but it was not Forsyth Memorial Hospital in North Carolina at the time, which is doing all this cutting edge research. Yeah. And so I think back, so I made a pivotal decision to stay where I was. Now, why? And here's the part of the story that's like, ooh, wow. So my parents met in college, got married, and started a family. And I was never told you're going to meet your partner in college and get married and start a family, but I was never not told that either.
Yeah.
And for family, for my parents, was a big deal. Big deal. Actually, my whole extended family was a big deal. You get a job, you meet the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you get married, you settle down, you have kids. That's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do.
And nobody sat you down and read you that list.
Nobody read
you just know it.
I just knew it because I grew up in it. That's what I was soaked up in. And so I'm 22 years old and had an opportunity to go and be in some place that would just like lit me up. All the things I love about my life was right there. And I went back and I made the decision I was supposed to make.
Ooh.
I made the decision I was supposed to make and stayed in Buffalo.
Sure.
So it turns out.
But you didn't know that consciously.
I didn't know that. No. I was totally subconscious decision. And I thought I was making the right decision.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like you thought you were making the right decision? Like logical and like this makes sense.
This makes sense. And then about 6 months later, the girl I was dating at the time decided she wanted to spend more time with her people at her office that she was starting her new job at. And suddenly I became less important to her, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then she took a job in moving to like out of the, to Pennsylvania. And I was like, what?
Wait a minute.
What? So when I got the call to go back to Craig Hospital in Denver, Colorado, where I got where I did an internship previously, I was like, yes, like there was no hesitation. And that decision was the most pivotal decision I think I made in my very early life to move out of state, to move across the country, especially when my father was sending me clippings of jobs around home, you know,
Yeah,
like, he was literally sending me clippings.
I know he
of
is because
things,
he
you
still
know?
does it. It's
It's like, there's a
funny.
job at
Yeah.
Albany. There's a job at Amsterdam Memorial Hospital. There's a job here. There's a job there. It's like sending me these. And I was like,
Yeah.
I am
Get
not
outta
making
here.
that mistake again.
Yeah.
I'm going to so I moved to Colorado, the mountains, climbing, being outdoors at Craig Hospital, world-renowned hospital that teaches and educates and all that. And it was like, I just landed in Shangri-La.
Yeah.
And to make that, so there's a difference between making now a conscious decision to grow in the direction I want to go, to make a decision to become more of who I am, who I want to be in the world,
Yeah.
and not who I'm supposed to be in the world.
Yeah.
So there's like my story about two compare pivotal decisions. And I didn't know I was making those decisions based on natural laws,
Sure.
which we're going to talk about over the next 4 episodes. But that's really what I was doing.
And it's a pivotal decision. And we all know it now from hearing your example. Like that changed the trajectory of your life. And when you talk about playing small or not at all, well, first of all, I have a lot of compassion for folks, especially when they have a lot of responsibility, like kids and businesses and dogs and cats and bills to pay and stuff, because I think for my own reflection, it's been easier to make some pivotal decisions in my life. So I think actually, so I could contrast that maybe another day, that it was easier when I didn't have so much responsibility. The reality is that's a trap, but
that's a trap. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, that's a trap. But that's like where the mind went, right? So you made this pivotal decision, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm listening to you, how many people could reflect back on how many pivotal decisions they've made in their lives and count them on like one hand? Because when you learn how to make great decisions in alignment with who you are and your purpose, you can make pivotal decisions. I mean, like I made at least 3 off the top of my head this week, pivotal, that I could tell stories about this week, right? Like we're making pivotal decisions all the time, which is important. I think it's really important because in the trajectory and the evolution of a life, are you going to wait forever to live? Or are you going to know how to evolve so that you can continue over and over every day to step into decisions so that you're more of who you are, living in your purpose rather than who you think you should be or somebody else told you should be?
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story?
Sure.
Something you taught me actually about making decisions.
Oh, really?
So when I was investigating, this is probably now 18, 20 years ago, something like that. I was investigating a Qigong and Tai Chi teacher training programs. And I mean, I had been practicing Tai Chi and Qigong for a while on my own. And I was like, I'd really love to learn more about this. So I did some Google searches, and it was Google around at that time. I don't think it was AOL, American Online searches or something.
Right.
And I found a training program that I really felt drawn to. And I like every week I would go back to it and I'd look at where the training's coming up, where are they happening? And I would go back the next week and where are they training? Where are they going? And I would read about it and I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not ready to do that yet. I can't do it. And I read about it. And literally I did that for 5 years.
Oh God.
For 5 years,
Oh,
I knew where I was going to go do a training with. I knew who I was going to do it with.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was my destiny. And I waited 5 years.
You waited until you met me.
Until we got together. And then when I showed it to you, you said, I'm going to do that training. And I was like, you can't do that. You got to wait 5 years. You've got to sit on it for 5 years. You can't do it. You can't just make a decision just like that. What do you think? Who do you think you are to just make a decision? I've been waiting 5 years. And like I'm in some imaginary queue that I'm waiting 5 years. I put myself in that queue because of all these reasons why it was not responsible to go.
Oh, gosh.
I was working a job. The training was across the country. I had to fly. It took a week. I had to spend money that I didn't have, like all the blah, 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 blah stuff around being responsible. So when you said you're just going to go, I was like, you can't do that. Like I've been waiting in line.
I remember this time because you were like showing me on the internet like this coveted thing.
Yeah.
And I think you sold me on it because I looked at it and I was like, that looks great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
And I'm like, you can't go. And so then I made the decision to go, and everything worked out amazing.
And the decision is putting on the shirt. So Brian, what did you do?
Well, I made the decision to go. I signed up. I put the deposit. I signed up. I gave the training company my money. I reserved my spot. And then once my spot was reserved there, I got a little nervous and a little this and a little that. But here's the thing. I had made the commitment. Like for me, like putting on the shirt was paying the money, because once I had the money down, then my subconscious no longer was driving the whole show. And if anything, I'll modify that a little bit. My subconscious maybe came on board a little bit and said, now you can't waste that money. So now go do the thing. So I went and did the thing. It wasn't easy. I did have to figure out my life. I had to, you leave for a week, you leave your business, you leave your family, all that kind of stuff. So I had to figure that stuff out. But I'll tell you what, that was most definitely one of the most pivotal life decisions I ever made in my entire life, was going to that training and learning how to become a teacher of Qigong and Tai Chi. And that ended up, we created our own institute, and I met some amazing people. I still love being in contact with that community. It's like, that was, oh my God, that was like one of the most pivotal decisions. And I was sitting on it for 5 years. I sat on it.
Let's talk about this for just a second. I'm not going to take us too far down this rabbit hole, but you and I also make decisions from a little bit of a different place, meaning you like to find a little bit of information about things, or a lot of information about things. You research things, whereas I make decisions from the gut. And so when you showed me the information, I knew it was in alignment, and I said, let's go and let's sign up. And you already had done the research, which works out very well for me, by the way, in life. Highly recommend partnerships like that. So there are going to be people who will make decisions from their gut. And oftentimes when I talk to people about this, those folks think they're crazy. They literally say that. But I think I'm crazy because I shouldn't, oh, there's a should, make decisions like that. Know thyself. And if you're a person who relies on your intuition, then know that, because that's a tool you can use. And if you're a person who likes to get a little information, also use that, but do not use it as an excuse to wait around like Brian did for 5 years.
For 5 years. So I have a little, can I read a little something?
Sure.
A little passage from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There's a whole chapter in here on decisions, on making decisions, a whole chapter on it. So for those of you who don't know about Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill spent time spent years interviewing, researching, hanging out with the most successful people of his generation. And he distilled from them the behaviors that made them successful. And one of the things was decisions. I just want to really 2 quick things. So he starts off his decision chapter with accurate analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure, disclosed the fact that lack of decision, in bold, was near the head of the list of the 30 major causes of failure.
Lack of decision.
Lack of decision. Okay, he goes on to say, this is the part that I thought was really cool. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them, in parentheses, or hyphens rather, every single one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly, if and when they were changed. People who fail to accumulate money, without exception, have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing those decisions quickly and often.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was, when I had read that the first time, it brought me back to that sitting on the fence for 5 years sort of thing, and why I wasn't creating the life that I wanted to create, and why I really wasn't happy or felt fulfilled or felt on purpose or felt engaged, because I really had a habit of not making decisions at all. And if I made them at all, I made them very, very slowly. And really boiling it down to this question that I had asked myself is, what if I made pivotal decisions based on who I wanted to become in my life rather than who I was supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. It's really powerful. I'm thinking about this waiting, Brian, because our subconscious mind, that 95% of our mind power, it's constantly helping us to get the current results that we have in our life, in money, in relationships, and in health. Our subconscious mind is just going to keep getting the same results. And so we think that I haven't made a decision yet when we're prolonging and we're waiting and we're taking a bunch of time. The reality is what we're doing is we're further reconfirming our current programs in health, in wealth, and in relationships. And then we are further confirming our lack of decisiveness and our confidence and our inability to be confident. We're further confirming our lack of trust in ourselves and our self-doubt. And as we keep allowing that time to go by, we are further confirming our current programming. And it makes it harder.
Absolutely. Yeah. You build more momentum. I mean, lack of momentum, rather, more inertia, right? That's the right word. You build more inertia to stay exactly where you are.
So the decision to prolong decisions is a decision. And it is not a decision that moves you. It's a decision to keep your current programming locked in place and confirm it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So, I really want you to ask yourself as you're listening to this, do this on a scale of 0 to 10. How small do you feel like you're playing? So, let's use the 0 as I am playing so small, like I'm so tiny, you could fit in my palm. Okay. And 10 is I'm out there living loud, living proud, and evolving, and I know who I am, and I'm doing my thing.
I'm making decisions that are clearly in alignment with who I want to become more of in this world.
I make powerful, pivotal decisions. Okay. That's a 10. Ask yourself where you are right now. And be really honest with yourself. Ask yourself where you are right now on that scale of 0 to 10. I think that level of self-reflection is required because, of course, we can't change anything we're not aware of. And it's a very nebulous kind of topic. How small am I playing? Like, go ahead and rate yourself. Mm-hmm. Think about it. And then you can do something from there because you have an awareness. That awareness is not a decision, by the way, not to play small anymore. Don't mistake awareness for decision making.
Good point, Ani.
Thanks. That's a tweetable.
Yeah, that is definitely tweetable.
It's not even tweet anymore.
No, it's Xable.
Yeah, whatever.
So you've got that rating. Keep that close by. Keep that right by you for the next 4 episodes. Well, 3 more, I guess. This is the first one.
Yeah.
3 more episodes of this series on how to make pivotal life decisions. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode 24, and we'll see you next time on 25.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself. Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.